Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 25. Andrew Jones.
Andrew Jones. How about a Troy Glaus? 25.
Yeah. Dude, shout out to baseball, huh?
Yeah, I actually would love to talk.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up just for a second. This is mostly a football podcast, but shout out to baseball. That was a crazy World Series. The fact that we got a Game 7 extra innings baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of people upset about, the Dodgers winning. Personally, me, I'm more of an American. Now, you could argue Los Angeles is probably part of America you don't really like. You should segregate. But, I was fine with either one winning. It was a great baseball classic. Blue Jays had it there for a second, but anything you guys want to touch on real quick?
Yeah, no, first off, I could not possibly disagree with you more. I would have rather the other 29 teams in Major League Baseball win the World Series before the LA Dodgers. Because I think this is bad for the sport because they literally are just spending money like we've never seen in Major League Baseball history. A couple of takeaways. So Game 6, I don't know if y'all saw this, but the dead ball ruling where the ball gets like halfway jammed in between the field and the plastic fences that they have in Toronto. Complete BS. It's just like field the freaking baseball. Like it's right there, just pick it up, throw it in. I thought that was bull crap. The Jays got kind of hosed there. And then Game 7, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the Georgia-Florida game on Saturday, I know y'all have been to a cocktail party, but listeners, if you've never been to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, it is a day. It is the longest day of your life. So I got home just exhausted right around 10 o'clock, and I was sitting in bed trying to watch the game. And I'm just like nodding off. I just trying as hard as I can to stay up and watch the game. There was one out in the ninth. The Blue Jays were up by 1, and I'm like bargaining in my head, like, no, you're okay, Jake. You can go to sleep. The Blue Jays are going to win this. You'll be fine. But then I'm like, no, stay up, stay up. Well, eventually I passed out and I fell asleep. And then around 4 a.m. I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I fell asleep. I missed it. And I picked my phone up and I saw that Will Smith hit a home run and won the game. So tragic.
Yeah, me and Kayla were watching it together for a second until the bottom of the ninth. We almost saw the Blue Jays have that. Caleb, Barnacle Boy, how do you remember the game?
What he's talking about there is not like a discriminatory slur or anything, by the way, just for the folks at home. This was my costume for Halloween. I was Barnacle Boy. Don't know what the reviews are. Well, I don't know if we want to put feelers out on that. I think I'm good. But yeah, so anyhow.
You looked great. You looked great. Just so you know, you looked just like Barnacle Boy. It was a great outfit. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate that. I just needed his whip. I couldn't find my car. Baseball-wise, I'm with Jake on the stuck ball. I just think that this...
Hold on. Caleb, sorry to cut you off. This baseball news, did y'all see who the Braves hired as their manager? Walt Weiss, the freaking bench coach. What are we doing? God almighty.
Can't pay anybody else. Can't pay anybody the big bucks. Can't pay somebody else the big bucks. You gotta stay within it. You guys are down right now.
My God, we just...
So I wasted my money for another season, huh?
Welcome back, Brian Snicker. Welcome back.
Breaking news here on the podcast. This is a baseball podcast right now, huh? How about...
Anywho, I guess. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're at the get. Okay, so for the World Series, first of all, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., hell of a series. The Blue Jays should be kicking themselves in the ass for not winning this, because even like on the play at home in Game 7 where it was like a force out, if you go back and look at like the full diamond, guy wasn't even really off the bag very far. Like his lead was maybe 2 or 3 steps. And in those situations where the bag's loaded, you should go ahead and start lunging off the bag as the pitch is coming into the plate. And he gets thrown out by a hair. So there's that. They had the bases juice bottom of the night. Like I just said, against Yamamoto, they brought him in. He pitched again after the night before. And look, it was just a tale of everything that could happen in a World Series that baseball would want you to see, like a walk-off home run, a force back pick from left fielder to second baseman to win the game on a force out. I don't think that's the first time it's ever happened in the World Series. And I was really pulling for Toronto. Really, really, really was pulling for them. Obviously, everybody knows that we don't want the big bad blue men to be winning these championships, but I mean, there's not really much that can be combated from this. And I will say, I think you're going to be shocked at how long a lockout is going to occur before here long because there's a lot of teams in baseball are sick of what the Dodgers are able to put together and produce. Like, not even talking about how they play on the field because, I mean, Mookie Betts finally came alive towards the end of that thing, and they played well, pitched well, did what they needed to win. But just getting the team set up at a point that where they are to where they just outstarted everybody because they signed 7 or 8 of them before the beginning of the year because they had the money to. I don't know if you're going to have a lot of people going for that from here on out.
Yeah, something's going to happen, and it's going to be really ugly because none of the players are going to want this lockout to happen because it's the only league in professional sports that has no salary cap, and these guys can just get paid whatever, and it's going to be ugly because none of the players are going to be in favor for it. I mean, like obviously they want to win the World Series, but they want to get their bread more than anything, and it's going to be interesting. Going to be very interesting.
Should be. Great start to the episode there, huh? Welcome to another episode of Deep Shot Podcast. It is packed episode even already before things we even had planned, impromptu baseball. But we've also got some recaps of Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Vandy, Texas. Got a new edition of our top 10 this week. Got the playoffs coming out this week, so we're going to have our own little edition. We've got the Falcons, Patriots to talk about, a crazy game in Las Vegas from the Jags and the Raiders. Bills and Chiefs played. We've got our players of the week coming up. Caleb's won 3 players a week in a row. He's winning the standings 4-3-2 right now. And our deep thoughts as well. Lots to talk about. Before we do, just want to make sure and thank everybody for subscribing to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. YouTube's been blowing up a little bit lately since we've been posting the videos. So if you guys want to see what we look like and the camaraderie that we have on this Zoom call twice a week, you can check out the YouTube Deep Shot Sports. And also, a reminder, the Mutation Brewery, Deep Shot Sports, helping Paul's event, November 22nd. Make sure you are bringing the biggest dog or cat food donation you can. We've got stickers, koozies, coasters, as we were talking last week, shirts, things like that to give out. So just want to remind you guys about that. All right. Now that's all over. Let's get into talking about week 10 of college football and recapping it. We've got to start with this podcast's biggest game of the year, you could argue. Georgia, Florida, another Georgia classic this season. It feels like every weekend, you know what you're going to get, a fourth quarter comeback by the Georgia Bulldogs in a game where they looked like they should lose the entire time, and they pull it out. This game started off with a great Georgia drive, though. They went downfield. It was the first time they had scored on their first possession against Florida since 2020. That was a stat. And then Florida was able to notch it up when they got a big explosive pass play. Then it kind of slowed down a little bit. We'll talk about the refs in a second, but we did that field goal before the half to tie it up. Came back out in the second half, scored. So did Florida. Then it was, the offense kind of slowed down. And then we know what kind of happened. Georgia got a big stop at the end when Florida could have gone up 6 instead of 3. Some people debate about that. And then Georgia went on the winning drive. Just want to shout out a couple guys real quick. Zachariah Branch, 10 catches, 112 yards. Where would we be without him? CJ Allen, 13 tackles. Where would we be without him? And Chauncey Bowen, 9 carries, 70 yards, a big play at the end to win. I don't know why he doesn't play more. There was a point at the broadcast, they showed him on the sidelines just sitting on the bench during an offensive drive, no helmet, nothing. Didn't even look like he was ready to go. Maybe he was assuming he just wasn't playing. And then he was in like 2 plays later. So glad I would wish we would use him a little bit more, but I guess I can see why we have to have Cash Jones in the game. I know. So, anyway, Gunnar Stockton proves week after week he is awesome. DJ Lagway, if he was even competent in this game, Florida could have won this game easily, but he is not. Feel bad for Florida fans having to deal with that, honestly, because that is just tough to watch how bad he is sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, then Florida definitely wins. Because that's what I've been hearing for the last 365 days. So, like, if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt.
Not even the same situation. What are we talking about? It's a totally different thing. And you think Lagway is playing better football last year or this year? Because that was actually a relevant conversation to have last year. This year, he was the reason why we lost, in my opinion.
I just think if Lagway wasn't hurt, maybe he would have been able to step into that throw to Sturviant and however you say that last name.
Sturdivant.
And I think they would have had a walk-in touchdown. But, yeah, I say all that kind of in jest. Obviously, very close game. Gunner, proud of Gunner, because there was quite a few times in this game where he was definitely not playing his best ball. But when the time mattered and he had to go down and score, he did it. Little funny story. So I was at the cocktail party this weekend, like I said earlier, and Florida has the ball up 3, driving down the field. And I look over at my 5 friends I was at the game with, and I told them, I was like, it is crazy that we're going to win this football game. It is insane that we're going to find a way, because I have no idea how we're going to do it. But one thing I do know is that we're going to walk out of this with our 5th straight cocktail party victory. And you fast forward about 30 minutes from then, we did it. Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Gary, talking about Bowen's balance. How is he not the lead back at this point? Like, I think Nate Frazier is a good back. I do, but there's just something different about Bowens when he runs the football. He's quick, he runs hard, he's hitting holes, he's breaking tackles. I mean, he's just heads and shoulders, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, he has been the game breaker that we put at running back. So yeah, you said, I guess you understand Cash Jones getting plays. I still will never understand when number 32 checks in the ball game. It just will not make sense to me. But overall, I'll give my respects to Florida. I'm going to give my respects to Florida because there were a lot of people that were like, dude, Georgia only beat Florida by 4 points. Like, oh, what the heck? Like, I was like, dude, tell me who is blown out Florida? Who has blown out Florida? Miami? I mean, yeah, I guess. But besides that, none of these losses were blowouts. None of them. None of them. And, I think Florida has a lot of talent, and I think it comes down to coaching. And that's why I think if I'm Florida, you go get Lane Kiffin, and it's going to be night and day what we're going to be looking at next year if they are able to make that happen. So, Caleb, I give my respects to your football team. Y'all fought really hard. But yeah, 5 straight, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, disappointing to see. I know we were texting during the game, and Jake, I don't want to put him on blast here, but he was a little nervous about what was going on.
I very well was.
Which yes. I think if you're a competent football fan, if you actually are not in the business of talking bullshit, you would say the same. No matter what jersey you were wearing that game, you were nervous. And I was watching the game with my girlfriend and kept telling her, I have zero faith. We went up 3. And I fist pumped, and then I sat right back down. She was like, "Are you okay?" Legitimately. And I said, "I don't think we're going to win. This is and I diagrammed it out for her. I said, Florida football, you start the game, they give you a little bit of hope. It gets a little bit higher. We take a lead, like 3rd or 4th quarter. And then all of a sudden, you can see the roller coaster peaking, and there it goes. And so I told her, I said, I don't care what the score is right now. I got a feeling we're going to lose this game just because we're going to screw up a 4th and 1, or we're not going to do something that we need to do in the game. Sure enough.
Not to interrupt you too hard, but it's crazy. I'm thinking back to my Saturday, and I had to get mobile between the 3rd and 4th quarter. I had to drive to a friend's house, and my girlfriend, her poor soul, dude, having to deal with me in the car while Georgia's losing. And let me just say this, Scott Howard, I'm sure he's a great guy, and he's had some good calls on this. He's lost his fastball on the radio, and I'm getting tired of knowing what happened from the fans before he tells me. He's so slow. He's so slow. That's a whole different rant, but he's very slow and cannot catch up to the game. Regardless of the game, I want to ask you, this was obviously a huge ref show, okay? On both sides of the ball. Let's all agree here, right? Ref show on both sides of the ball.
I disagree.
I mean, you don't think the gunner getting called for a false start clapping is bullshit, Jake? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do, but I think it's bullshit when you start saying it's on both sides. And I think that's what I'm the most mad about today and yesterday is people talking about how the refs helped Georgia win the game. Georgia didn't get a single call go their way the entire game until that.
What? You didn't? You did?
No. Dude, DJ Lagway fumbled. He fumbled the freaking football. He fumbled. It was clear as day. The ball's is slipping out of his hand. And then it's no, it's not. And then we have to make a 4th and 1 stop. And then you want to go to that Gunnar Stockton false start when he claps. DJ Lagway claps every single time he does a hard count. Every single time. There was some phantom holding calls on Georgia. Every single call went against Georgia until the very last one, where maybe he got his hands under, and everyone wants to act like that's some big deal. Well, I'll tell you this, Caleb, even if he did catch that ball, which I don't think he did. I think it's hard to say that he got not an inch of that football touch grass, not an inch of that ball, even if it did. Well, how about when Georgia got hosed and DJ Lagway fumbled the football? But we got the stop on 4th and 1. We came through the very next play when we had adversity in our face. Florida didn't. They tucked tail.
Agreed.
Why the fuck are we taking shots at teams right here? I just
tell me.
Agreed. Here's
Is
Tell me
bullshit.
the
You didn't think y'all
calls.
didn't get a
Tell me the
single
call.
I was
Tell
gonna.
me the
I have the
calls.
calls. I have the calls, and I thought there was 2 on each side, in my opinion. Because Jake's right. At the end of the day, Georgia does what they need to do. Florida doesn't, and neither does other teams that play Georgia, and that's why they lose. Okay, that's number one. But here's what I'll say. I thought that the fumble incomplete pass maybe was towards the end of the first half. I thought that looked like a fumble on TV.
It was a fumble as well, and it was what was called on the field, and they overturned it. That's the part that got
I think
me.
I would rather argue that if I was a Florida fan than the catch. The catch that I personally, I also thought it was a catch, but I could see why that was called the way it was. You can't go back on it. I think the fumble, if I was a Florida fan, I'd be a little more upset about that because Georgia got 3 points from that.
That is the exact call that I was going to bring up as well, too. Not the fact that it was called on the field a fumble and it was overturned, and it was dicey at best on the replay. I completely agree with you, Garrison. I think that, yes, both teams did get 2 calls go against them in some form or fashion. That was BS. Talk about the gunner penalty. So the penalty is not to clap. It's how you do it. If it is a demonstrative, like you're moving to try and make it louder, then it's the same thing. But if you're just doing this, like
you've never,
okay, but it's a pretty terrible rule.
when have you ever heard that rule? When has that rule ever?
Terrible rule.
It's never
made that up on the spot. They made that up on the spot.
It wasn't made up on the spot. They don't make rules up on the spot. That's been a rule. And in fact, it was a point of emphasis coming into this year that the defense can't clap and the quarterback can't over exaggerate them clapping for a snap count. It is a point of emphasis. Just because the first time it was called this year does not mean it's a bad rule.
I think
never been
that is what makes it a bad. I think that's what makes it a bad rule. It happens every Saturday. You watch this, and then you look back at like, what's the difference between clapping really loud and Aaron Rodgers getting under center and doing his, his Rudy G. What's the difference? What's the difference? There's no difference. I get it. Like Caleb, you are reading off the rule book, and I get that. That's fine. I think it is crazy that time where they call that. I
completely agree with that.
Insane time to be like, oh yeah, we're pulling out this rule week 9 of the football season.
I mean, then he does it later. He literally does it again.
No
later,
penalty.
And they get an offsides, and we just get the offsides that time. And it's like, okay, thanks, bub. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's why, like, when you first said, Jake, like, this was not a ref show, I disagree. That was the jolt to me because it was like, okay, well, you've got something on your side, and also I've got 2 calls that I can think of off the top of my head right now that would be something that is dicey. And I'll be honest with y'all, I don't want to get too, like, involved in what I do on a normal basis, but I also work in football on Friday nights as well. And is it every level the referees are terrible? I mean, I really don't understand how these guys, there's no reason the SEC should have any games decided by a damn referee or just letting people in the public even think that. Cause like we can all sit here and tell you, I know why Florida lost. We were terrible on 3rd down. DJ Lagway didn't complete wide open passes at the end of the game to players that were open. We also missed a 10-call kids touchdown right before half, and he sucks. That's why we lost. But there's a lot of people that are sitting there in rural Florida in the middle of somewhere outside of Orlando that are talking about how the Zebras took the game from them and they're trying to give Kirby Smart all the calls. I don't like that. Whether I'm Kirby Smart's one of his fans or not, I think that's BS.
Absolutely agree. And I will say this, like, just to get like critical of like the game of football. Like, I love football. The one thing that I hate about football is how subjective like every single call is. Like, was that holding? No, that wasn't holding.
That we have like $1,000,000 cameras and we can't get a clear shot of a ball.
Yeah, 100%. And then like, what is a catch? What isn't a catch?
Yeah.
Like,
can't hit the ground.
Interference. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'll say this real quick. So just to kind of tie into that last point you were saying there, Caleb. Yeah. So yesterday morning, my girlfriend and I went to go get breakfast, and I'm sitting in the booth, and there's some Florida fans sitting behind me, and I wasn't going to say anything. Like, it's a day after, whatever. But they're just going on and on and on about the refs and how that was a catch, and it's all rigged. And then they were like, also, what about Gunnar Stockton taking a knee at the 1-yard line? Because I think Kirby Smart's in coup with Vegas, because he knew that'd be the over and the spread, and But you know what my favorite part was? My favorite part about all that was they said, you know what? I don't even care. Basketball season starts tomorrow. It's basketball time for the University of Florida.
Hey,
It is November 3rd, 2025. It's basketball season for the basketball school. Yep. Get that layup.
School.
Okay, get them layup lines ready. Get them layup lines ready. November 3rd.
Man,
That's terrible.
that is
whoever that guy was that just clamored that to you. Like, okay, that's like
when you say November 3rd and like you're like, damn, yeah, that puts it into perspective. That's funny.
It's going to be at least a month and a half before I even think about Georgia basketball. I mean,
Yeah.
at
Absolutely.
least.
Guys, I mean, I'm about to go in here and watch Florida play Arizona because it's
Big.
that. I mean, it is
Big
a big
night.
night for the reigning national champs.
Yeah. Basketball that started today.
Y'all don't have a coach or something, right? Like that was baseball.
It's baseball. We see it baseball right now though, because not only do we not have a coach, the assistant head coach just got hired.
Just left. Yeah.
So, but anywho, let's not get too Florida-ish. I do want to leave something else for the folks at home though here, and this I might tear up. DJ Lagway, he was supposed to be the saving grace, the next coming at the University of Florida. The same guy who, in case you didn't know, takes up 10% of our NIL budget by himself. 10%. So you guys go and do the math if you know how much Florida's roster, okay? That's just for one season, okay? Everybody else around him did a great job yesterday. He was the one who failed, okay? And I want to go to 3 key plays, really. All right, and we've already talked about one of them. I still think Sturdivant caught that ball, but you know what I said to these guys after that game? It shouldn't effing matter because he was so wide open. If he would just set his feet and threw it another 10 yards, it's a walk-in touchdown. Florida's up 27-24 with 3 minutes left. And then I have no quarrels. I have nothing to complain about. I can't. I physically can't, okay? And then also right before the half, Georgia was in a bad spot, about to go into halftime. Florida had the ball. Lagway, we started throwing the ball all over the place. Lagway threw a ball to Tank Hawkins. He was open on a corner route, beat y'all's slot corner, and it was single eye coverage. If he drops it in the bucket, Tank Hawkins is the fastest guy on that field right then and there. It's probably a touchdown. Okay, so that's incomplete. And then the next play, his ass drops back and tries to put the ball down on the ground to keep himself up, and he fumbles. 3 plays, all his fault, cost us the game. And when you lose by 4 points to Georgia, who is, say what you want to, big brother the last 10 years in the rivalry, like we owned it for 20 before that. But if you weren't born before 2010, you would have no clue that Florida used to whoop this team's ass. Mm-hmm. It's just non-existent anymore. He's going to be the first thing that needs to go when Lane Kiffin comes to town, I think. I think Lagway needs to leave. He needs to go try and rebrand and restart somewhere else.
Jake, congratulations, Jake.
It's not going to work
congratulations. DJ Lagway was overrated.
Won the war. Yes. Yes. Caleb, can you just say that? We just say that, Jake? Just say these words, please. But Jake, you were right. DJ Lagway is not that great.
Okay, I'll do even better. Gunnar Stockton's a better quarterback than DJ Lagway.
Okay. Can we go another step? Can we go one more step? Can y'all admit, because a few weeks ago I got a lot of shit for this, can y'all tell me that Gunnar Stockton's a better quarterback than Carson Beck?
Yes.
He did
Jake,
just lose this last week. It's a pretty bad spot.
Hashtag Jake was right about everything. Jake was right about everything. Jake was right about everything.
All right.
Never wrong, just early. Deep shot, Jake. You know what? I think I'm signing off. I'll see y'all. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'm out.
You can't get wrong anymore. Just end off on that.
Yeah, I'm retiring.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move it along. Let's talk about Oklahoma, Tennessee. Oklahoma wins the game 33-27.
Yeah, now this was one I was very wrong about. Very wrong about this game.
Now, you weren't wrong. Someone else says this. The players just kind of did you wrong. Joey Aguilar, I mean, talk about fucking his team over. Before the half, threw 2 terrible interceptions. Like balls that you didn't even know who they were going to, right? Joey Aguilar had 393 passing yards in this game. John Mateer had 159. And Oklahoma won this game specifically because their defense showed up, had a huge fumble return touchdown. I mean, that was game changer and one of the coolest touchdowns I've ever seen in my life. And their kicker made 4 bombs. 3 of them are 50 yards in his tiny little booty shorts he was wearing that just had Kirk Herbstreit up in arms about it. But they
People
won the
asking
game.
why, by the way. Asking why.
And also, Oklahoma had 192 rushing yards. That's the most in any game they've had this season besides when they played Temple. So Oklahoma just out-physical Tennessee, pretty much. Tennessee had all the flashy passing yards, which they always do, but they could not win the line of scrimmage. Oklahoma's defense showed up after getting a lot of hate last week. So props to them for that, because them defense, special teams, and being a rugged football team won Oklahoma this game, and turnovers and just being sloppy cost Tennessee this game. Offense really let them down in a lot of spots. So, which in the defense, which Tennessee's had a real problem with this year, really didn't let them down at all. They kind of, were stopping Oklahoma, who was getting really good field possession to field goals and things like that. Tennessee's offense just really fizzled out, and their quarterback just turned the ball over really too many times.
I was quite surprised when I saw that Oklahoma had 33 points and John Mateer did really nothing, 159 yards, one pick. I think the biggest thing that points out for me is 200 yards rushing for Oklahoma. We said on this podcast before that Oklahoma's got to get back to being able to run the football. They were finally able to do that. So that was good to see.
Caleb, what you got?
They did have a new face running the football this week. A lot of people not really gave it much attention leading up to it. I'm blanking on the guy's name. But
let me give it Xavier Robinson.
Yeah, okay. So Mr. Robinson finally comes back, okay? He's been injured from what I understand. And, maybe now I'm starting to question why they even spent the money to go get Jade Knott in the offseason in order to try and run the ball. I really don't understand. What were they doing for him to just be buried? It's kind of like the similar situation to Mekhi Hughes at Oregon. You just went and got a guy just to bury him in the depth chart. Kind of odd.
Just shows you why you shouldn't, maybe be transferring so much.
Yeah.
You're doing good where you were.
I would agree with that. Mekhi Hughes would probably be going to the NFL this fall or this spring if he would just stayed at Tulane. And Tulane would probably be in the playoff. We saw another running back go get in the playoff last year. Where does draft stock go? Way up? Okay, just checking.
Yeah, Jade Knott, 21 carries for 68 yards this year. If you would have told me that a couple months ago,
you were doing tricks on Jade Knott.
I would have thought that was a game stat.
Right. This guy was running. What did he run for last year? Well over 1,000, right? He was an elite electric running back. That doesn't happen anymore. But anywho,
let's see. So last year at Cal, well, he was hurt a lot at Cal last year. Only had 385. But the year before that, he had over 1,500 yards all purpose and 15 touchdowns.
Well, they got it done on the ground with Robinson and Mateer. Mateer actually had some pretty decent running production. I think, compared to what he's been able to do, him running for 80 yards on 16 carries is a little higher than what we've got in the last couple of weeks. Don't think he's necessarily the healthiest guy on the field. I think Tennessee's defense is terrible. And when you turn the ball over in bad spots, you're going to lose games. If Tennessee doesn't give up the strip sack return in the first half alone, I think this game is miles different than what it looks like.
Agreed.
That was a massive, massive change of events for them because Tennessee was driving again. They were already up by a possession or two, and it shrinks the game back down to what it was. And we've talked about this with Tennessee all year long. They've gotten bit by the possession swings. There's a 14-point swing at Bama that they got bit by. They just got bit by another, I'd say, a 10-point swing this week because I think they were in field goal range or at least knocking on the door, and they were rolling on offense at that point. They hadn't been disturbed in the first quarter. So good for Oklahoma. Venables keeps the job alive. The boys came out, play good football. I think if you're a Tennessee fan and you're talking about firing Josh Heupel today, you are smoking something that is illegal. It is a Schedule I drug. There's no way that
it's also, dude, just think about going back before the season and the whole Nico situation. Tennessee, the Georgia game got them a lot of credit, and they, were excited about what was to come. But I mean, come on, you didn't have to. No one thought Tennessee was really going to do anything crazy this year anyway. Let me ask you guys this: Oklahoma has a bye week and then plays Alabama, Missouri, LSU. What's the record at Alabama, at home against Mizzou and LSU?
2-1 at best. There's no way they win all three. If they beat Bama, they'll lose to Missouri. If they lose to Bama, they might beat Missouri, but I think they're going to beat LSU regardless.
Yeah, I think about 2-1 as well. I think I'm on that wavelength. I think that they're going to beat Missouri. I think they're better than that. Yeah, I find it hard to believe they're going to be able to go to Tuscaloosa and win that game. How they're playing.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about another SEC game, the noon game, Vandy, Texas. This game, I mean, the first three quarters was just, nothing to watch. I know Jake was at the cocktail party. I'm not sure how much you saw of this. Probably.
I watched a decent amount of this one because it was on at the tailgate. So I watched a little bit.
So when you were probably watching it before you were heading into the stadium, you were like, well, Texas is going to win this game by 1 billion. That's what it seemed like. Arch Manning finally had a really good game, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm a little hesitant on how great it was. I tried to find the air yards he had. It couldn't have been much because there was a lot of big explosive, screen plays. The first play of the game was 75-yard screen where he threw 2 yards on the line of scrimmage, things like that. So the offense is getting better. I think really they just kind of out physicaled Vandy. I asked that last week. Could Vandy, be more physical at the line of scrimmage, things like that? Well, Texas had 6 sacks. Vandy had none. So that did not turn out to be the case. And they kind of just started pummeling them early. Now, credit to Vandy, they don't really pass the ball that much. I said the stat last week where Diego Pavia hadn't thrown for over 200 yards against the SEC team in a while. He threw for 350 in this game.
365.
But he kind of had to because they were basically just on go mode the entire fourth quarter. And props to Vandy for having the fight in Texas secondary. That might be a big problem. Really questionable 2-point conversion play when it was 34-24, and then they gave Vandy a 2-point conversion where like every camera angle you could see basically showed he did not cross the goal line. That was weird, but all credit to Vandy. They should have got that onside kick. They didn't. Texas. Let me just say this about Texas. And we're talking about our top 10. Texas has wins over Oklahoma and Vandy. 2 pretty solid wins. That's all I'm going to say. What do you guys think about that?
And slowly but surely, I mean, I know like we do our rankings. I think I was the lowest on Texas, but I am getting back on the Texas train because I think Arch is like, I'll say this, Garrison, there's a part of me that really agrees with you because I don't think it's like he was throwing bombs down the field, getting all these yards. I think we can look back to week 1 and some of our criticisms of Arch was just trying to do too much and just trying to make the hero throws every single snap, that's bad. You don't want that. Every once in a while it's fine, but being a little overzealous can be a bad thing. So I think there's part of you that watches Arch kind of play like point guard and just get the ball to the open players wherever it is. I think that's a good thing. I think that's positive development at the quarterback position. I think that's what you want to see out of a young guy like Arch. This was a big win. So I'll say this. There are a few plays here and there that I see that make me never want to gamble again. That 2-point conversion is one of them because it's like, how convenient it is for all these sports books and everything that a 24-point lead going into the fourth quarter just happens to come down and cover by half a point and 2 points come on a call like that where it doesn't even. It's hard. I can't see where that ball breaks the plane. Like in the amount of times you see it, I can't find. I don't see where
on TV they said that the pylon apparently was not positioned correctly.
Yeah, that's so convenient.
Can't have
that's
it.
So
there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. There's too much money riding on this freaking game for you guys to put the pylon off a half inch. This is why I don't understand, and I know people talk about this. I don't want to get too far sidebarred, but put a chip in the ball. Do we?
Yes. Why?
Well, apparently the chip would actually throw off the aerodynamics of the football. I don't really see how. Like, I feel like I've seen footballs with extra laces, and it doesn't. Just throw the ball. Okay, kick the ball. Maybe I could see some kicking issues. We've already talked about that on this podcast where that ball, and we're going to get to it later, that Parker Roma ball kind of went a little that way out of nowhere. Just saying.
Come on.
Because they're using their own balls.
But what I'm getting at is, like, if you're going to sit here and say, hi, I'm college football, and we're not going to laser measure every line of gain to scrimmage in the entire stadium everywhere, because you can say whatever you want to. I think if you had one home game for any SEC stadium, you could make enough money to install laser measurements for everything in the stadium and then probably go out to dinner afterwards. Like, it's not like it's going to be cutting it close. You've got to have answers for stuff like this. You cannot have the procedures that allow this to happen. Vegas almost probably should feel like, well, we got away with one there almost, you know what I mean? And I would really like to know if they actually, where the money in the public was at. Was it on Texas? Was it on Vandy?
Texas was hammered in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe. But you're right, Caleb. Dude, they could laser the stadium off. The SEC is worth billions of dollars. And you talk about the aerodynamics of a football. Someone somewhere can find a way to have a chip implanted in a football and it not throw it off. I am very, very confident in our. I mean, dude, we put people on the moon. We can put a chip in a football.
Yeah, dude. Elon Musk has got this guy. He's got a brain chip in his brain, dude. He's out here reading books and collecting stuff. Like, he's getting a PhD from Cambridge. We can't put a chip in a football. Figure out if it's a first down or not, Cap.
He has a brain chip in his brain.
Brain chip in his brain.
That's
is it just
crazy.
a chip in his brain, or is it a brain chip?
It's a Dorito nacho cheese.
So look, Vandy.
Hey, the public money was 53% Texas.
Convenient.
All right.
Convenient.
Vandy, though, we know Texas has a bye. They play Georgia, and then they play Arkansas, and they play Texas A&M. They went 3-0. They'd have to be in. I just don't think that'll happen. But let me ask you about Vandy. We got Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee to finish the year. Can they finish 10-2?
I don't think so. I mean, here's my thing is like, you got to imagine they'll beat Auburn this week. You got to imagine that, right? I mean, they just fired Hugh Freeze. You know, it's a
Interim bump.
cluster going on at Auburn. Kentucky, but that Tennessee game, I don't know. I mean, I'll take it a step further. If they go 10-2, they're not going to make it to the SEC championship game. And I think that they're not going to make the playoff at 10-2.
Whoa.
I think it's crowded, man. I think we are about to be so crowded. And I think there's a chance. But what's going to hurt them is these wins. Because the LSU win, when they had that, was kind of impressive. But now we're kind of like, LSU just dropped another one. And then the Missouri game, you really need Missouri to finish the season off strong. But like, if LSU and Missouri continue to fall, and they get to 10-2, and it's like, okay, they beat these teams that aren't even good anymore, and the only two teams they played that were good, they lost. Now, granted, both of them were on the road, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, I'll say this. They used to say it for years, like Bama privilege, that logo getting some extra leeway. Man, come on, dude. Change. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough because there's going to be some teams that are going to get the benefit of the doubt over Vandy.
All right.
I tried to cool y'all's jets on this last week. I did not think Vandy was going to win out or finish 10-2. I really thought.
But what if they do finish 10-2? Do you think they'd not make the playoff, Caleb?
Any 10-2 SEC team, I don't see how they don't make it. I mean, what was Ole Miss last year? Were they 9-3 and they didn't get in?
9-3.
I mean, if you're 10-2 in the best conference in America, bro, with how thin the Big Ten is, like, who's going to get in over them at 10-2? Are we going to put in a 10-2 Big 12 team in over them?
No.
ACC?
Would like 11-1.
ACC
like, what if we had an 11-1 BYU and a 10-2 Vandy? And like, let's say BYU lost the Big 12 championship, but they're 11-2. Vandy's 10-2.
But you're not supposed to penalize people for games.
Yeah, I'm very strong on if you make you can't. If you were in it before, that you can't take them out after.
Okay. All right.
Now, will the committee do that? That's the question because they'll probably look for any excuse to throw another SEC team in there.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Well, let's talk about something else. Hugh Freeze got fired from Auburn. I said this. I posted a video. I said that they were going to lose to Kentucky and he was going to be out. So highlight me. Let's go.
Ball knower.
If you watched this game, congrats. That was awful. I watched the highlights of it. It was not a lot of highlights were mentioned. Ashton Daniels started this game for Auburn, and then Jacksonville had to come in and finish it because they couldn't do anything. They scored no touchdowns. Listen, this is the drive chart for the game real quick, and then we can just talk about Hugh Freeze real quick. Auburn punt, Kentucky punt, Auburn punt, Kentucky punt, Auburn punt, Kentucky field goal, Auburn punt, Kentucky punt, Auburn turnover on downs, Kentucky interception, Auburn field goal, Kentucky goes to halftime. Kentucky scores a touchdown first drive, Auburn punt, Kentucky punt, Auburn punt, Kentucky punt, Auburn punt, Kentucky interception, Kentucky punt, Auburn interception to win in the game.
That was a bad game of ping pong you just played. Right?
But Hugh Freeze fired. I called it. Shout out me, huh?
Glad somebody knows ball. Glad somebody knows ball on this podcast. I mean, if you didn't see it coming, it was right on the wall. Like, it's one thing when if you're, let's say that Hugh Freeze was a defensive guy, right? And this was going the way it was. It's a little more excusable, I think, than if he's an offensive guy and he can score 3 points against Kentucky. And no shame to Kentucky. Let me just full stop say that. Mark Stoops can coach football. They don't have the dudes. They don't always have the playmakers. They don't have the Lynn Bowden Juniors of the world walking around no more. But Kentucky is a formidable team. They're going to. I mean, I remember they've given Georgia like the biggest scare of their lives in the midst of the undefeated seasons. Like, they're going to beat teams here and there in the SEC. This Auburn at home. This is embarrassing. And it is a good thing. I think he deserved to be fired. And just the clown show of like starting Ashton Daniels and then like, oh, wait. This maybe he can do something better. And they're just going to find Jackson Arnold down there on the 30-yard line. He's over there eating, zebra cakes or the Christmas tree cupcakes that finally came out in the store yesterday. Go pick them up. But then he takes him back out and is like, all right, we'll just stick with this guy. How about your offense is just terrible? There is no reason in the world. They are this bad, and they have Cam Coleman as one of their wide receivers. Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. are their wideouts. If those guys were anywhere else but Auburn, like you're talking about, you can say whatever you want to about Craver and Concepcion. I think those two are as talented as any duo in America. They have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, and Cam's going to look awesome in red and black.
Red and black?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
who's Auburn?
Just not Clemson
Real quick. Do y'all think it's a little convenient that Caleb just spent like 5 minutes gassing up Kentucky when looking at the schedule? I wonder he plays Kentucky next week. Caleb's getting ahead of the 8 ball here.
Who's Auburn's next head
Florida's only
coach?
a 3-point favorite today as I look, which is disappointing.
Who is
James Franklin.
Auburn's next head coach? Nah, he's going to Virginia Tech.
John Sumrall.
Lane Kiffin.
I think that's you have lost it.
Get Kiffin to the Plains.
He already
Get it
accepted that job and turned it down once. You think he's going to jump back into that boat? I don't even think they offer it to him because if it actually went down the way that everybody explained it to, which was that he took the deal and then used his 7-day honeymoon window to back out of the deal. Yeah, I don't know if I'd do business with that guy again. Auburn needs somebody that is good on offense, maybe some experience as a head coach. You know, a guy like Gus Malzahn makes sense to me. I don't know if they want to go back. You know,
Malzahn, dude.
Go back to go forward. I think it's John Sumrall, though, all seriousness. I think it's him or maybe Drinkwitz leaves Missouri because the NIL situation is better at Auburn.
All right. Let's talk about 2 big losses in the ACC. Georgia Tech and Miami lose. Miami's pretty much out of it by now. Carson Beck threw 2 picks in this game. One, it was a tipped ball, like a little weird. You can't really fault him for that. Second one, overtime, can't have it. Blows the game for Miami. Classic Mario Cristobal Miami. I think the stat is he's 12-10 against unranked teams as the Miami head coach. It was crazy. I watched that game in my ESPN quad box because you can't, you got to do that nowadays. You can't have the YouTube TV one. But Miami was way better than SMU. They just had 12 penalties. They couldn't do anything right. It was just abysmal. Kevin Jennings literally broke his foot, it looked like, at one point in this game and came and finished it off. But classic Miami, that's really all it boils down to. And then Georgia Tech, they lose to NC State 48-36. Haynes King had over 500 yards of offense in this game, but the Georgia Tech defense couldn't get a stop. NC State had 583 yards, 243 rushing yards. ACC kind of beating themselves up right now. Virginia and Louisville sneaking back. But now Georgia Tech with 1 loss. Miami has 2 losses in conference. The ACC is wide open, huh?
Absolutely wide open. Absolutely wide open. And that's a bad loss for Miami, dude. That's a bad loss for Miami. You know, especially just how it goes, how it happens. And then in the media, again, sit the sloth, dragging his teammates after the game. The dude is a clown. The dude is an absolute freaking clown. And I'll say this, the pleasure that all of my friends at the Georgia game and all the people around us had, like after we got the notification, like, Miami lost again. He threw another pick. He blew it. Everybody was so happy. I mean, it used to not be that way. It wasn't that way. I wish Carson Beck nothing but the best when he decided to transfer out. But then when week 1, when he starts just shitting on Georgia and our staff and everything at UGA, on national television, that's when things changed. So, but yeah, Georgia Tech also losing. I enjoyed that. I don't really hate Tech. I don't really hate them. They're little brother. I don't really worry about them too much. But I'll say this to my Georgia Tech friends: listen to the podcast. Y'all got a little too confident. Y'all got a little bit too big for your britches. Y'all started talking like y'all are y'all. I'm being serious. Yeah, y'all started talking like y'all are the ones that won 2 natties in the last 4 years. They were all getting all excited when Georgia lost to Bama. Shoot, we gonna kick y'all's ass here in a few weeks, and y'all gonna remember. Y'all gonna remember. That's all I gotta say about that.
By ass kicking, do you mean like it's gonna go to 7 overtimes instead of 8? What are you saying?
I think we just gonna beat them again because we beat them every year.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I said this to you the other night, G2. I can't remember. I'm pretty certain I took North Carolina State to cover in this game. I just thought Georgia Tech was due for a loss, and I think that I was still a big believer on the SMU Miami front that Miami was still the best talent team in the country. I've cooled off on that. Obviously, who wouldn't after seeing them lose their second straight game? And look, dare I say, the slide's not over for Miami because you come out after starting out smoking hot on your schedule. I mean, you took down Notre Dame, you took down Florida, South Florida, you embarrassed them when they were the hottest team around after they beat Florida. Don't know how that works, but anyway. And then you lose to Louisville out of the bye, and now you've lost SMU, and now everybody's got the tiebreaker over you. I mean, they're 2-2 in the conference now, and there are 6 teams in front of them that are ahead in the conference standings. ACC is exciting, dude. And who would have ever thought Who would ever thought that one, Jake would start switching his backgrounds after I switched mine to Drake London catches? And who would have also thought that Virginia would be in the driver's seat?
Nah,
for the
nobody.
ACC?
Dude, that is crazy. The ACC is something, and we're going to have to keep an eye out. It's going to be interesting to see how many bids they get. All right, let's try to wrap this up before we get into our top 10s. Ohio State smoked Penn State 38-14. That was close for like the first half. Indiana wins big again. Ole Miss beats South Carolina. Notre Dame beats Boston College. Texas Tech beats Kansas State. Virginia beat Cal, like you mentioned. They're in the driver's seat, undefeated in ACC play, even though they lost to NC State, and that didn't count as a conference game. Louisville keeping it going, another ACC team. It's Utah-Cincinnati game. Didn't really watch a lot of it because it was at late as hell. But I saw the stat line for Brendan Swordsby. He was 11 for 33, the Cincinnati quarterback. Reminded me of that Nebraska game I watched earlier in the year. Utah knew it. The Vegas knew what was going on there. Big 12, another thing to watch. Cincinnati losing. Michigan beats Purdue. West Virginia beat Houston. It was wild. West Virginia had lost 5 straight games, and Houston was 7-1. So another big thing in the Big 12 there. USC beats Nebraska. Nebraska loses their 29th straight game to a ranked opponent. Dylan Raiola also out for the rest of the season. They were wearing black jerseys. They were wearing all black jerseys and like had the field all black. That was a little weird. I didn't really think Nebraska did stuff like that, but I guess they do. And just another thing, North Texas beat Navy. So North Texas kind of in a good spot. Maybe could be the G5 team. Keep an eye out on them. And also Duke beat Clemson. And Dabo said he should be fired at the end of the season. So, just something to think about there. Okay. That will pretty much wrap up college. Oh, and hey, Florida State got a win. 42-7 over a big win over Wake Forest. So that'll kind of wrap up college football. Let's get into it. So now we've been doing our top 10 this season, but with the playoff rankings coming out, we've kind of had our own little addition. So with our top 11, Caleb, what do we got?
So we figured it would be suitable with tomorrow as this podcast comes out. You can get it first from us, the real playoff rankings and releases. There was some dissent here. We had a couple ties in the voting. Everybody's kind of all over the place, but I'll give you the top 4 to start. This is not changing. Ohio State's 1, Indiana's 2, A&M is 3, and Bama is 4. So those teams get the bye in our version in the deep shot college football playoff. Right. Number 5, Georgia. That hasn't changed. I think well-deserved. They do not get a bye just because they lost to Bama. And they're going to take on Memphis at the 12th seed. That is our G5 team as of right now. There's 2 submissions for Memphis, and I honestly thought to put in North Texas at the beginning of the day. I had North Texas in my notes. And I thought about it, it's like, at some point or another, you got to respect what Memphis is doing. I mean,
I think I'm just going after the highest ranked at this point, personally. It's just like
You put North Texas?
I had them at first, and then I kind of just step back and see what you guys thought. Went with Memphis there at 12. The number 6 team is Ole Miss. Again, we see these SEC. Bama beat Georgia, but Georgia beat Ole Miss, so they're kind of stacking them out each other. Number 11 seed is probably the shocker. Texas is the last Power 4 team in the playoff for us at number 11 after the tie-breaking vote. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you are crying in the club right now because you were this close to making our bracket, but we'll see if you can get it next week. The number 7 team is Oregon. The Oregon Ducks were brought down number 7. You guys, and this is the second week in a row, they've been a little higher for y'all. I've had them at like 9 or 10 the last 2 weeks. I just don't think their record has done anything for them, but I did bump them up above Georgia Tech this week, who happens to be the number 10 team in our playoff this year. They are still in despite a disappointing loss last week. And the final matchup is one that is not set in stone because of what's going to happen this Saturday. Our number 8 versus number 9 game is BYU Texas Tech, which is something that is we're going to have the results for this one in about 6 days. So just wait and see. The playoff will change. I imagine one of these teams will take themselves out of the running, but some interesting matchups there. Like Georgia gets a snoozer of a game at home. And the way we've got it, Ole Miss and Texas, I think, is definitely the game that everybody would want to watch out of that, the way we wrote it up. But I don't know what you guys thought about throwing in Texas there as the last one versus Oklahoma.
I had Texas as my 11th ranked team. Now, also, just want to preference this. This isn't a projection of what we think the college football playoffs is going to be, obviously. It's what we have it. If we ranked our teams right now, this is how it would look. Just like they're going to see tomorrow when the rankings come out. That's obviously not how it's going to end up. That's how it looks right now. I had Texas in there at 11. I'm guessing Caleb kind of helped out with the vote there, but the thing for me is when I made the top 10, I felt like I knew the top 10 pretty well. And then when you start talking about the 11th best team, you got to start now. You don't want to project, right? If I think Notre Dame and Texas play today, I think I'd probably put Notre Dame, up there. But Notre Dame really hasn't done anything that impressive other than beat up on some bad teams and lost close games. Texas, on the other hand, has wins over Vandy and Oklahoma, who are in the top 15 in every ranking you see. So that's where it's on me. The resume does a little more. I know they've looked a little shaky, and you could argue they have a worse loss than like Oklahoma and Notre Dame, but I think they've got the better win. So that's why I kind of had Texas up there at 11.
I'll throw a wrench in the plans here, and I wanted to bring this up for my voting versus y'all's. So I'll just give you my bottom 3 teams in my voting, 9, 10, 11. I had Oregon at 9, I had Virginia at 10, and I had Georgia Tech at 11. And the reason why I put Virginia in there, and this was what kind of screwed everything up, both of y'all had Texas of some sort or Oklahoma in there. And even Jake had Notre Dame in it. And I had Notre Dame in mind at the beginning of the day too, but I was like, what? They don't play in a conference. They've lost 2 games already. They got to prove it to me. Or pretty much I put them out because I wanted them to have help later. Like somebody's got to lose in order to get their spot. But I put Virginia in there because Virginia and Georgia Tech have lost to the same team this year. They have a common opponent. The difference is, this is a weird spot. Virginia and Georgia Tech both have gotten beat by NC State. One of them was a conference loss. The other was not. Very odd. Very odd. But Virginia is in the driver's seat, so I went ahead and threw them in, and I think that I would rather have a 1-loss ACC team than a 2-loss independent and another 2-loss SEC team in Oklahoma or Texas. Just wanted to throw that out there that I think Virginia, in terms of resume, first of all, is probably stronger than Georgia Tech's at this point, but nobody wants to talk about that. And also, I'm cooled off on Oregon, man. I really am. We're going to see what they do this week against Iowa, and we hadn't previewed any games yet, but I think they're due for a loss here down the stretch somewhere.
They've got a tough schedule going down the stretch. I just I can't. I'm just a Virginia hater, I guess. They keep. Oh, that's all I can say. I just don't believe in Virginia at all. So it's kind of in the resume to me. It's like their best win's Louisville. I guess that's impressive now at this point.
At Florida State, yeah, that's where the ACC is. I mean, somehow or another in the ACC, nobody's playing each other. Like you're not going to see Virginia, Miami. You're not going to see
Virginia plays Duke, which is going to be a big one because Duke's also a 1-loss team in the ACC. That'll be something to see. Okay. All right. Well, that's our first edition. Let's move over to the NFL. Let's talk about what happened on Sunday. We've got to start. It's 8 week. Again, reminder, it was Falcons lose to the Patriots 24-23. And I'm excited to hear you guys, conversate about this game. I just want to get my little points out. Another classic fourth quarter Falcons choke job from a kicker. Parker Romo, after we thought we had the kicking woes gone, misses a crucial extra point. Jake made the video yesterday after the game. Drake London had 3 touchdowns. He had just an absolute insane talent. Let me say, best hands in the NFL has to be. I mean, God never dropped the ball. Defense has 6 sacks in this game for the Falcons, but they can't run the ball. Michael Penix makes another big mistake late in the game and makes matters worse. This was the Caleb's Patriots team, who are now the top seed in the AFC, or tied for it with the Colts. Who wants to start?
Go, Jake.
I mean, it's just classic. I mean, it's classic Falcons. I will say this because I do think, like in one of my group texts yesterday, we're being quite critical of Michael Penix. I think that's all kind of ridiculous, truly, looking at it. He's definitely making some mistakes, but like, you got to understand this guy is still a rookie. You got to give him some time. But the intentional grounding was brutal. It was a brutal call, but outside that, the dude played pretty good. He was delivering the ball accurately. He was playing good ball. 3 touchdown passes. Drake London looked incredible. But we lose the game because we don't have a kicker. And I hate that we just basically kind of sound like a broken record on this podcast sometimes, because we just say the same thing over and over again. But this is incompetence from our coaching staff and from our front office, because we knew last year that Young Waku was not the answer, but they go through the entire offseason. They signed some international guy that they know is not going to be their kicker in Lenny Krieg. And then week 1, Koo screws us. And then we're signing Parker Romo, who, like, this was also not the first time he's missed a kick for us. Like, we have no faith in the guy. Yeah. All in all, a really, really, really frustrating loss, because this could have been a win. And then boom, just like that, we'd be 4-4. We're at 500. Like, we win that game yesterday, we are 500. Say what you will, but 4-4 in the NFL is not a death sentence. There's still a lot of work we can do at that. But now we're 2 games back and got a long ways to go. And I feel like yesterday kind of killed our season. Like any hopes we had of rallying off some wins and maybe getting a wild card spot, maybe catching the Bucks, I kind of died because then you guys the Panthers won yesterday, so they're up on us. So I don't know. Really, 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 really frustrating. Great games out of Penix. I'll also say this: Jalen Walker had his welcome to the NFL game yesterday.
Yes.
2 sacks. 2 sacks. He had that forced fumble that James Pierce almost returned back for a touchdown. That would have been really cool, but we were still able to capitalize on it. We just got to get healthy. Our whole offensive line is banged up right now. Outside of Jake Matthews, and then since Devon Diablo has been hurt, JD Bertrand has had to fill in his spot. Our defense has gotten so much worse, and they played good in the second half. But I got one stat for you to leave you. So teams that score 20 or more points have 6 sacks, 2 turnovers, and only allow 3 or less points, or 44-0 in NFL history until yesterday. 44-1. Raheem Morris is so good at doing that. So good.
Man, so not only did there's another first in the franchise. I mean, you guys already gave up 25-point comeback in the Super Bowl, and now there's another one to the same team. 44-1. It's incredible. I will say I was scared shitless during this game yesterday. I ain't gonna lie to you, because just a microcosm of what I'm going through right now. I've had some rough weekends this year. My fandom has not been great. I've turned to watching the Hawks to try and get my thrills for fandom. Maybe it peeked into the NASCAR race yesterday to try and figure things out. Nothing's going right. Nothing's going right except for the New England Patriots, and I'm thankful for them. I told somebody at work today, I said, if New England would have lost yesterday, I would have called out of work today. There's no way I'm going. No way. I can't hear it. I will probably do something that is against the law if that was to happen, but it didn't. In terms of the game, first of all, got to give MVP honors on both sides. Drake London. Holy cow, dude. Like, I know he's good. He's been on my fantasy team all year long. I've tuned into him when I've watched Falcons games. I ain't never seen him play like that. Like that. And it was when they needed 4th down, Drake London one hand in the corner touchdown. That was incredible. I was literally talking shit to some of my other friends about Christian Gonzalez is locking shit up. Next thing you know, not only does he moss him, he lands on him and concusses him and puts him out of the game.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez didn't lock nothing up yesterday. Drake had
he locked everything up until that point, though. What do you mean? He didn't cover Drake London too terribly much. That was the problem, and I noticed this on the game yesterday. I thought that we had him off of Drake London way too much. And when he was locked up on him, he was in man coverage. So they automatically knew. Michael Penix knew what it was. I didn't like that part of the game plan for it, but I guess what else are you going to do to Drake London? On the New England side, on offense, Demario Douglas, every catch he made was a super duper important catch. Whether it was a touchdown, he had 2 3rd and 14 catches that were incredible for us. And on top of that, they were, like I said, just crucial moments. Drake may somehow get sacked on 1st or 2nd down and completes the ball on 3rd down and keeps the chains moving. On defense, I mean, Robert Spillane was really good for us. I was with you on Jalen Walker. I was very impressed with him. You talked about the sacks. You talked about what else he did in the tackle and all that situation. But I noticed him in pass coverage. He was almost blanketed Hunter Henry a couple times in that game. And that's not many people in the NFL. You can say whatever you want to. They can't cover those guys like that. But the Falcons, just in totality, couldn't get the run game going.
Can I say one more thing about Jalen Walker?
Go for it.
Okay, so there was one other play about Jalen Walker. So we missed the extra point. New England gets the ball back. And then 3rd down, Jalen Walker, probably the biggest play of the game for him because the guy's open in the flat. Jalen Walker swatched the ball down. So, I mean, he was all over the place. Sorry to cut you off. Continue. But I had to add that in there. Probably the biggest play of the game for him.
I was about ready to rip my hair out after that because I was talking to some friends as it was going on. And we threw the ball 1st and 2nd down on that drive right there at the end. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? And I think you guys had one timeout, but anyway, the quarterback situation, both guys made a bad play. I think Drake May strip sack, he held on the ball way too long. He's giving up.
Hasn't that been a problem for Drake May? Fumbles? Am I making that up?
New England's had a team problem of fumbles, namely from the running back position. Drake May hasn't turned the ball over much at all. In fact, that's the most he's turned the ball over in a game this year.
Interesting.
Just the holding on to the ball. He was patting the ball so much yesterday before he threw it. Notice that. But also on the other side, Like that strip sack gave you guys credence to get in the game, but then your intentional grounding in the game was brutal. That was brutal.
He's
Just
done that
the
twice now
center,
in the last 3 weeks.
the center snaps the ball without any snap count, and you guys, he just thinks, well, I'm just gonna. There's a free runner, so I'm just gonna throw it in the dirt, and it's a live play. That sucked. I felt bad for. I thought about you, Jake, in that very moment because I was like, what is he actually doing? I'm sure he was really, really letting his TV hear it right there. And Raheem probably is glad that y'all are not in the same room in that moment. But I felt bad for y'all in that spot because if I was a quarterback, I was like talking with somebody afterwards, and I was like, you know what? I think I'd probably done the same thing. I would have thought the play would have been blown dead because the referees are technically, when you get a free runner like that on plays like that, it should be blown dead, but it was a live ball. Like it wasn't like a procedural before.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a quarter of a second to react to a 350-pound man running at him. I can't necessarily blame him. But one thing that is frustrating is Bijan run a check down on his dominant side, on the left side, and like he was open. I mean, I don't even care about like getting it to him, but at least knowing, okay, my check down is to the left. Like, let me dump it to the left. Like, but I get, but that's what I was saying earlier. Is like we're talking 5-10 year vet stuff. He is still a rookie. I mean, this is what is like 10th start of his career. I mean, we're still so young in this guy's NFL career. And I think we will see him make these awesome plays. And we kind of have to temper our expectations for the guy at some point.
It's a good point. We'll see what happens. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Jags Raiders game. Slow first half. Hell of an into it, huh? Longest kick in NFL history by Cam Little, 68-yarder. And then the second half, everything started picking up. Let me just say this. I know the Jags won the game, but Brock Bowers,
insane.
He was been roughed up, really been hurting my fantasy team. But I mean, put us on his back yesterday. 43 fantasy points, 3 touchdowns. Props to the Raiders for going for 2 at the end there overtime. But Jake, tell me how the Jags won this game.
Well, the Jags won this game because it was the ugliest game that's ever been played in NFL history up until the fourth quarter. Finally giving the ball to Travis Etienne. Brian Thomas Jr. was not scared to like run after the catch and run across the middle of the field. Finally, Trevor Lawrence was sick. I don't know if you knew this, but like he's been like really sick and like played the game 6. Yeah, I mean, listen, any win you get on the road in the National Football League is going to be hard to come by 9 times out of 10. So while we understand that the Vegas Raiders aren't some great team, it's still a good win. It's still a good win. I don't know if you knew this, but that, yesterday was the first time in NFL history. Well, I guess the rules did just change. So it's not like this is even impossible up until like 2 years ago. But the first time that a team has ever gone to overtime and both possessions were touchdowns. So going off that, yesterday I think was the best game in history. Just going to overtime, both teams scoring touchdown, going down to 2-point conversion. An awesome play. I'm not sure who the
and the longest field goal ever.
And the longest field goal ever. That felt kind of like torturous. The day that the Falcons miss an extra point to tie the game. That
your mom had an awesome comment on the video on Instagram. I posted
what'd she say?
I posted the video of him making that 60-yard kick, and your mom commented, and the Falcons have a guy that can't make an extra point.
Exactly. But so I don't know. I forget who the defensive lineman was for the Jags or the linebackers who knocked that ball down on the 2-point conversion. But glad he did, because whoever it was standing butt naked in the back of the end zone. That would have been a tough loss for the Jaggies.
Yeah, that was a crazy game at the end. And then the Chiefs and Bills played on Sunday as well. Bills win 28-21. The Bills have now won 5 straight against Kansas City in the regular season. I called that on the last pod. I said that always happens. They only trailed for like 2.5 minutes this whole game. They got down 10-7 and kind of went right back down the field. Big part in this game, it felt like when Mahomes hit that big throw to Hollywood Brown and they tackled him at the 1, and then they ended up having to kick a field goal there. Bills stood up, got a goal line stand. But the Patrick Mahomes had a pretty rough day. He had his second lowest QBR in a game ever in his career, 57.2. His lowest was last year against the 49ers. He had like a 44. He was 15 of 34, 250 yards, no touchdowns, threw a pick. Just a rough game for him. But the Bills, like I've said, just own Kansas City in the regular season.
Yeah, kind of thought we were going to get some magic at the end of that game. I don't know if any of y'all agree, but when it got down to the very, very, very end, and Buffalo tried to kick a field goal I think they would have made it a 10-point game, then they missed it. And I'm sitting on the couch. I was like, oh man, here we go. Here we go. It's going to be another Josh Allen heartbreaker. But yeah, I mean, it was a good win for Buffalo. I mean, they did what they needed to do. Rashee Rice looks incredible. Really, because I feel like in every single fantasy league I'm in, when Rashee Rice was drafted, I like clowned the person. I was like, "Y'all drafted Rashee Rice? He's suspended. What are you doing?" And now I'm like, God, why didn't I take him? Because the guy looks like a borderline wide receiver 1 right now, and he's in fantasy. I mean, he's a freak. He's a freak. So yeah, the Chiefs.
He's so good.
Chiefs look so good.
They're so much better when he's on the field.
So much better.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jake. Like, I thought at some point or another when they missed that field goal and Mahomes was able to convert like a 4th and 17 or something crazy and get him back into a scoring position, they went and got it for 2. Like, I thought that thing was wraps. Buffalo was able to pull it out. Obviously, big win for them. They needed that. I think. You can say whatever you want to. They've kind of hit a little skid here in the season. Good thing to check Kansas City when they did as well, because I think a lot of people are starting to drink the Kool-Aid on Kansas City once again. Like, okay, well, this team, like they're on a run. It's time to go again. We're gonna have to deal with Mahomes MVP level. Just temper all of that. James Cook is still that guy. Kareem Hunt showed up a little bit more. I think he's starting to establish himself in the Kansas City offense, which is great for my fantasy team. I'm really thrilled on that. But was scared of a ref show at this game. You know, I don't know what you think, what you guys feel about the NFL, but when I see Mahomes and the Bills involved, I think there's some black and white stripes in the background of that photo. First play of the game yesterday, there was a holding on the kickoff, and I was like, here we go. Well, they kind of settled in there. I'll give them some props. Rarely give referees props. I'll give them some props. They handled this football game pretty well.
All right, let's run through the rest of the NFL week 9 real quick. Ravens beat the Dolphins on Thursday night. Lamar Jackson all the way back. Another guy great for my dynasty team. Dolphins fired their GM as well after that game.
He's been forever. I don't know if people know this, but Chris Greer's had a job for like the last 10 years in Miami. And they've been terrible the entire time. He's the rare GM that didn't get fired ever.
Yeah. Lamar and the Ravens, they have a very easy schedule going forward. If you haven't looked at it, I think we talked about this last week. I can't remember which episode, if it was the review or the preview, but their schedule down the road is they got the Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals. I mean, that could easily be a 6-0 stretch for them. Okay, the Bears beat the Bengals 47-42. Wild game there. And just real quick, the Chase Brown comment after the game. Do you guys see that?
Was it like talking about the defense?
Yeah, they basically said they were asking him about the game or how he was disappointed. And I think the quote was, like, we did our job, just finish the fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, that's Jamar Chase was leaving the field saying just one stop, just one stop, just one stop. How can you blame them? I mean, this is how the Bengals lose every single game, every single season since they've been here.
Flacco threw for 470 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's the most ever he's thrown passing yards in his career.
That's crazy.
That is incredible, and they lost.
How about 6 catches, a $118, and 2 tuds for Colston Loveland?
There we go.
How about that?
Okay, Vikings beat the Lions 27-24. J.J. McCarthy's first game back since like week 2, and they show up. He doesn't have a crazy stat line, but they find a way to win. I was seeing some Lions fans are really upset with their OC and want him fired. I was seeing that on Twitter. It's just something to point out there. Panthers beat the Packers 16-13. Panthers 5-4.
They're not bad. They're not bad. Unfortunately, Rico Dowdle is like really good, really, really, really good. So sorry for all Chuba Hubbard owners in fantasy, because you have lost all value from Chuba Hubbard, all of it, because it's show.
They'll be trading him pretty soon. Jordan Love may have had the worst throw. I mean, we say this every week. Russell Wilson's throw against the Giants, or no, they were playing
the Cowboys.
Yeah, when he just came in out of nowhere, Jackson Dart was hurt, and he threw it to absolutely nobody.
Or no, they were playing the Eagles that game. Yeah. No,
I thought that Jordan Love was doing the same thing this game until the camera panned and followed the ball, and then all of a sudden, shit, there's a Carolina Panthers DB there in the end zone, and guess what happened? He dropped it.
It'll be the easiest pick 6 of all time.
There was nobody there. There wasn't anybody with those dumb leather helmet looking things in the area. They were on the other side of the end zone. I don't know what Jordan Love was doing there. And I'd love to see the back view of that play and to see like what he was really looking at or thinking. But yeah, felt like we were watching 9th grade football for some reason. They're wearing the NFL jerseys. I mean, I don't know. That blew my mind. The fact that an NFL quarterback can make that throw, and it was already after like a 10-second scramble. Like he was just running in circles back there.
Yeah.
The only grace I can give him is it was 4th down, but you're right. Like if he catches that, he's probably housing it. Now, that's probably going the other way for 6.
That's why he's on defense, folks. The Chargers beat the Titans 27-20. All I know is Joe Alt got hurt in this game, and it feels like the Chargers have lost like every offensive lineman they have. But they win a game against the Titans. Justin Herbert was also the leading rusher in this game. They also lost all their running backs and their offensive linemen. So Justin Herbert's got to be scared for his life up there playing quarterback. I don't know. What do you guys think?
There ain't nobody in front of him to help him out. I mean, he's kind of like playing flag football back there at this point.
Yeah. 49ers beat the Giants 34-24. Mac Jones just keeps on winning for the 49ers. Kind of insane. I wonder when I asked Chris, the mutation guy, he's a 49ers fan. I was texting him yesterday, and I was like, do you like Mac Jones better than Brock Purdy at this point? He was like, no, I'm sold on Purdy, but his hand, his injury just has been fucking up his accuracy. We'll see how much longer they run with them. Steelers beat the Colts, probably the surprise of the day. Colts been rolling, but Steelers win 27-20. Just any quick thoughts on this game if you guys watched it or saw it at all?
Yeah, well, I just think that they caught the Steelers at a really bad time. Like the Steelers lost 2 straight. You know, I said on the pod a couple weeks ago, I mean, I'm still really high on this team. I think they have a ton of talent, and their defense is good. Aaron Rodgers is still really good. They got to start finding ways to get DK more involved. But yeah, they just caught the Steelers, a good team, a well coached team, at a tough time. And the Colts are at their peak, the Steelers are at their bottom. Just happens in the league. But hey, if you're a Colts fan, don't be worried. You got a great get right spot this Sunday against the Falcons
in Germany.
Yeah, which I didn't. That's news to me. You guys are be playing the game at 9:30 in the morning, huh?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on there?
Right.
Early start.
Yep.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah. It's Broncos Texans. Broncos win 18-15 on another game-winning field goal, I believe, or at least a go-ahead. I can't remember if it was last second, but they won. They came back in the fourth quarter. They were down and they're down 15-7 going into the fourth. Scored 11 points in the fourth quarter. Win the game. Broncos are literally the Georgia Bulldogs of the NFL. It seems like 7-2. Shout out to the money line bet there. And then the Rams smoked the Saints, just doing what a good NFL team should do to a bad one. And the Seahawks beat the Commanders last night and put belt to ass. That game was over pretty quickly. Feel bad for Jaden Daniels. He got hurt, but the Seahawks are really good. That's all I'm going to say. Seahawks 4-0 on the road this year, by the way, the Seahawks are. And Sam Darnold, weapon. I mean, come on. Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't even score a touchdown this game, and he threw 4 of them.
Yeah. Nah, dude, he's playing awesome. And I'll just say this, man. I feel sorry for all Jaden Daniels owners in Dynasty. Oh, my God. Because that did not look good. It did not look good. He's just been hurt all season. Like, man, could you imagine, like, trading, like, a first-round pick? Oh, my God, that would suck.
Because I got Jaden Daniels. Yes, he's hurt. Guess who picked Jackson Dart this year, by the way, in his draft? I'm just saying. And, one day, redemption will be here, okay? Maybe he'll put on a little weight. His mom probably needs to cook a little more around the house this offseason. Get him some, but beef up a little bit, dog. Beef up a little bit. You got to be ready.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that'll wrap up our Week 10 recap. Cowboys and Cardinals going to happen tonight. Quick pick. Who wins?
Cowboys. I think the Cowboys going a little run starting tonight.
Jacoby Brissett night, right?
Yeah, it is Jacoby Brissett night. I think the Cardinals have lost 5 straight. Yeah, they're 2-5. Okay. Well, let's get into our players and deep thoughts of the week before we get out of here. Again, I said the standings earlier were Caleb 4, me 3, Jake 2. Caleb's won 3 weeks in a row. So in honor, we'll let Jake go first.
So my player of the week this week is going to be Drake London. I feel like it's kind of hard, as a Falcons fan. I feel like a lot of people are going to be listening to this. They're partial. Caleb's a Patriots fan. I think Drake probably had the best non-quarterback offensive performance yesterday. But 9 catches. That's
it was
true.
close, though. It was close.
That is true. But I'm going to give it to my boy Draco. 9 catches, $118, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, hard to beat that. And I feel like Drake has been good for so long, and people are finally starting to notice that he is like, I think top 10 in the league. And I think on some Sundays like he could be as high as top 5. Like I think yesterday he was a top 5 receiver in the National Football League. We just got to start getting a little bit more consistent with it. Give it to Draco.
All right. I'm going to go with mine here in a second. So I didn't really talk about this game, and I bet this game because I thought the quarterback for Arizona State, Jeff Sims, was going to be terrible and was going to result in a big loss for Arizona State yesterday. Instead, I'm giving Jeff Sims my player of the week because this guy went passing 13 for 24, 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Not lighting it up. But let me tell you this guy's rushing stats. Okay. 29 carries, 228 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was the quarterback. Kenny Dillingham said, "Hey, look, brother, you can't really pass it, and we need to win the ball game here. So we're just going to use those legs of yours." Insane stat line. A quarterback ran for 228 yards, and they had another 177 on the ground or through the air. Sorry. And Arizona State got the win against Iowa State. Kind of season's almost over, but for them, pretty much over for them. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know the Big 12, but great game for Jeff Sims. Got to give it to him.
Well, you put me in a very bad predicament here, Garrison, because I have a couple names wrote down, and 2 of the names that I had wrote down are people I've already picked. So I was gonna pose a question, and if the answer was no, I was gonna go with Jeff Sims. But are we out on using old player of the week? So we needed to freshen blood a little bit.
No, I think that's fine. That's fine.
What do you? I'm gonna let the podcast host. Are you good?
If you want to, I feel like I know where you're going with it, but go ahead.
Look, there's no denying that Joe Flacco played his ass off again. Joe Flacco did the thing one more time, and I know he lost. But there ain't many Jimmys and Joes around here throwing for how many yards?
470.
470 yards and 4 touchdowns. He just got signed off of his couch like a month and a half ago.
I mean, he was playing for the Browns.
Okay, well, he was benched. He got signed off the bench. We'll go with that instead of the couch. 31 for 47, 470, 4 touchdowns. I mean, can you deny the old man? It's the most yards by somebody over the age of 40. And there was a guy named Thomas Brady that played over the age of 40 and, in fact, won an MVP at that age. I'm going to have to still stick with my guy Flacco here. I will honorable mention Haynes King. That was the other guy I had wrote down, and I cannot
So 2 guys that lost.
I thought that's where you were going was Haynes King, to be honest. I mean, he went off. Over 500 yards of offense by himself.
400 passing yards by himself. I can't believe one of you Georgia fans didn't pick Brock Bowers.
It's a good one, dude, but Jeff Sims one just stuck out, man.
228 yards rushing is crazy. Go look up his age. You want to really be shocked by what's going on? Go look up how old this guy is.
Let me see.
I swear to you, I remember watching him play at Georgia Tech when I was a freshman in college.
That would be insane. Actually, let's see. Well, I'm clicking on him. He's 23.
What?
Born in 2002. How about that? He has been playing college for a while, though. It's got to be at least his 5th year. Okay, let's get into our deep thoughts of the week. I want to start off because this is something that's important. And it might be still one of y'all's maybe. This Disney YouTube TV thing, man. Like, how are we at Monday? We're at Monday as we're recording this podcast. And Disney, the ESPN, ABC, it's still not back on YouTube TV. It is still not back on it. And I don't know the numbers, but YouTube TV's subscriptions have had to have plummeted this past couple days. I mean, I'm not here to say who's right, and I don't really give a shit. Honestly, they're both stupid, and God forbid they don't make their $35 billion this quarter, and they have to shut it down and go down to 30 billion. And man, sorry, but dude, that's insane that we are in the middle of a football season and we've got the 2 people responsible for our entertainment for the little guy. We're already paying 90 fucking bucks a month if you have YouTube TV. And if you don't want YouTube TV, well, guess what? Now you got to pay 30 bucks a month to ESPN, or you got to go to another subscription service, which is already overpriced. I'm just saying it is ridiculous that we have got to Monday on YouTube TV's part and they haven't just sucked it up and the money. That has just been the story of the weekend. If you were on Twitter or if you're just a ball watcher, and the amount of people that were like, having to buy their Sling TV day pass or get a free subscription to Fubo TV for a month, or, God forbid, after they're having to go there back to the crack streams or the Stream East of the world. Bad day.
Oh, dude, it's just Disney. Everything Disney touches just turns to, crap. It's ever since Disney bought ESPN, it's just been, hey, get this new ESPN Plus subscription, and everything is subscriptions. Just bring it back to cable. Please just go back to cable, or just buy a Superbox. Guys, buy a Superbox. Just buy one. Thank me later.
That's kind of where I'm at on this whole thing. Now, I am away from YouTube TV because I've got DirecTV Stream. Shout out to my parents. They're really good to me. One thing they do, still let me watch TV. when I want. That's cool. Yeah, whatever happened? Is Fubo TV not that great? Is Sling TV? Like, why is YouTube TV what everybody watches? Are they cheaper than everybody? What's going on there?
It used to be what, $30 a month. Now it's like over 90. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The cost is absolutely ridiculous.
And just in case somebody wants to buy one of those super boxes, we like helping people.
$300. You go to
Okay.
Amazon. In theory, you would go to Amazon. You'd look up Superbox. I think the version is 6 is the one that I theoretically have. Hey, and you know what? If you get one, maybe call me. I'll help you set it up. I'll help you set it up.
Maybe.
Sure
This is all hearsay.
All hearsay. All hearsay. For my deep thought of the week, this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation because I am a fan of this guy, and I actually even predicted him to be the MVP this year. But Joe Burrow has been out for quite some time, and we have seen Joe Flacco here the last few weeks put up some gaudy numbers thrown to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Caleb's MVP of this week, 470 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's really more of a deep thought, but a question, and I want to ask to y'all. We obviously know that Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. Is seeing what Joe Flacco is doing with these weapons on a week in and week out basis, over 40 years old, does it maybe make you think a little bit less of what Joe Burrow has done since he's been in the NFL?
No.
I would agree with that. Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl with Cincy, who had never been there before. So, like, that on top of anything puts him in another different level for the Bengals franchise as a whole. Now, I'm with you.
I think it says more
play
about
on the
Joe Burrow.
field.
Or sorry, I think it says more about Joe Flacco.
Okay, I like that take. I can take that take.
That's a great question, though. That is
because you will sometimes see like backup quarterbacks come in. Like, look at the 49ers. Like, Mac Jones is like playing good. He's winning football games. He ain't throwing for 470 and 4 touchdowns.
70 in the NFL is insane. That's
470
like
in
80 yards
college
short
is
of the
insane.
record that was set in the 50s.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb, what you got?
So we're a football podcast. We're going to keep it there as well, not getting outside the realm of things like somebody tried to recently, despite the season being over. We're going to stay with NFL. Now I want to talk about the kicking game. You know, we spoke about it. I'm not going to hash anything out with Falcons fans, but I just want to say how, like, I think the thought of how people will use the kicking game to win games has changed, like, right in front of our eyes. All right. And I noticed it this year I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was watching a highlight. The game was close, and one of the DBs for the other team gave up a long touchdown, but was like in front of the guy, like he ran a post route in front of him and could have tackled him before he got to the end zone, out of bounds. And he let him score. I think these coaches, with knowing that people named Cam Little can go out and kick 70-yarders nowadays, like it's going to be not long before a 70-yard field goal goes through the uprights. Mm-hmm. We're at 68. 4 years ago, if you'd have told me a kicker would ever hit 65, I was like, no way. People can't do that. 63 was always the Mecca. Okay, so we got these 70-yard field goals that are about to happen. If you have a touchback on a kickoff, NFL fans, where does the ball go? It comes out to the 30-yard line. You are going to need here soon for a 70-yard field goal, okay, for your own reference. A 70-yard field goal means that you're kicking it from your 47-yard line going in, okay? So, like, you're not even past midfield yet. That's where that ball's being snapped at to kick it.
And you were really kind of behind that, you know?
You only need a first down here soon after a touchback, and you'll be able to kick a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
Now, you know, so really the reason, I know we talked about the balls before, the kicking and everything. You know, they can so kickers now can bring their own footballs to kick in the games. And it used to just be like they got the balls like before they went to warm up, and they just kind of used those. Maybe, we talked about this earlier, maybe the balls have chips in them.
It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is like rigging the game, which doesn't make sense because if Buffalo Wild Wings was behind it, they would have made the ball go in to make us go to overtime yesterday in the Falcons-Pats games.
Yeah, are you saying this is like one of those things where like the ball, like somebody putts a golf ball and you can like control where it rolls? Is that what you're saying is going on here?
Could be. I mean, Cam Little.
You think Cardi B was flying that football yesterday?
She was there.
Can't believe she was sitting with Robert Kraft, dude.
Robert Kraft was rizzing her up, dude. He looked as comfortable as a guy would be. I mean, you think about how rich he is, dude. He's probably just sweet talking her up, dude.
I think he's been there before a time or two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The guy knows what he's doing. Okay. All right. Well, great episode, guys. Talked about a lot. Really got into it there. That was really fun. So that will wrap up episode 25. We'll be back in a couple of days to preview week 11 and week 10. And also, Schedule change starting next week. Our podcast will be coming out on Mondays due to this, some unfortunate things for some people, but great things for the podcast and scheduling and getting content out to you. So make sure you guys are taking for that. For Jake and Caleb, we appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe to the YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We appreciate everybody listening. Deep Shot Sports Party at Mutation Brewery, November 22nd. We'll see you guys in a couple of days.